So for our Trinity Passion Project presentation, we talk about ethics of human rights, and it's related to recent Iran's revolution, woman life freedom, or Zan Jian Azadi. This is Javad Kalantari with Chinsalu and Yitian Shen. As our topic is related to hijab, we start our presentation with the meaning of this word. Hijab is an Arabic word, means barrier or partition, and it's a scarf or clothing worn by Muslim women to cover their hair in order to maintain modesty and privacy from unrelated males, either in public or at home. Hijab has religious roots, and it's an essential part of Islam. There are many Islamic countries in the world, and only in 5 countries it's a law for women to wear hijab, and these countries include Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, and Yemen. So getting back to our topic, let's talk about how wearing or not wearing hijab led to a revolution and a movement in Iran.
Mahsa Amini was a 22-year-old Iranian Kurd. She was detained in Tehran by the morality police for allegedly not covering her hair properly. She died in custody 3 days after her arrest. The police claimed she died from a heart attack during mandatory training on the hijab rules. But when images of her emerged in the hospital in a coma with bruises, they quickly went viral and provoked widespread anger. The protests, which have now been going on for weeks, are the largest mass demonstrations Iran has seen for years. Mahsa Amini's death has become a lightning rod for many people across the nation who are fed up with a religious regime which interferes in nearly every aspect of their lives. The morality police, or guidance patrols, are a unit of Iran's police force. They're responsible for enforcing Islamic dress code in public spaces. According to the law, all women must wear a head covering and loose clothing. A lot of this is open to interpretation, which gives the morality police a huge amount of arbitrary power. On the receiving end of that power are mostly women, although men can also be arrested. Those detained are often given training on the hijab and how to dress according to Islamic values. The rules are ultra-conservative, and activists have for many years railed against a system of control which interferes with what should be a really basic right, how you dress your body. The death of Mahsa Amini has resonated with people across Iran and ignited anger, which has been boiling below the surface for many years at religious laws which are hugely oppressive. Protesters calling for justice and democracy have been met with a systematic and brutal crackdown. But people haven't been deterred because, as well as being fed up with the clerical regime and its repressive rules, people are also angry at dismal living conditions made worse by years of US sanctions. Iran has seen widespread protests before, but what we're witnessing at the moment is different. These protests are mainly led by women, and they have the support across the full spectrum of Iranian society. Iran's supreme leader claims all of this has been orchestrated by America, the great Satan, and the Zionists, but there's no evidence that's the case. In fact, what is happening in Iran's cities appears to be very much an organic movement of people who are not scared to defy their regime's rigid Islamic laws. The veil or hijab has long been a symbol for many of oppression, and many women are now ripping off and burning their head coverings in protest. No one knows how all of this will end, but it is the most significant challenge the Islamic Republic has faced since it was founded.
So this movement brought global awareness and shows the world that what's happening in Iran. For example, Iranians who live outside Iran ran massive demonstrations which were covered by news and media in more than 20 countries. Also, many celebrities such as Hollywood stars, rock stars supported this movement, and Iranian women in their concerts, in their social media, in their interviews, and so on. For the first time, the Iranian singer Shirin Haji Aghapour won the Grammy Award for the best song for social change. And finally, Lots of politicians and activists supported Iranian women by cutting their hair, and it turned to one of the most significant symbols of this movement.
Next, I will talk about the detriments. This enforces the restrict freedom. It causes discrimination from very early ages. It causes imbalance rights between men and women. So the tensions will between the people and the government cause these laws and behaviors are mandatory. It will make Iranian women unable to participate in various sporting events, and it also causes some disease. For example, in some very hot summers. Next, I will talk about the ethical or moral theory. Firstly, I will talk about the current situation of Iranian women. Iran's laws and policies discriminate against women's access to employment, including restricting the professions women can enter into and denying equal benefits to women in the workforce. Over 50% of Iran's university graduates are women, but women's unemployment rate is more than double that of their male counterparts. Indeed, women's labor force participated in 2019 was barely 18% and fell to 14% in 2020. Men's participate by contract was 72% in 2019, falling to 17% in 2020. In 2017, Human Rights Watch found that employers routinely advertise jobs for men over women, and some require rights consent from husbands, with no law to sanction them for such outright discrimination. So, the hijab movement may just be the spark for women's protests. Now let's talk about some theories. About feminism, it refers to the social theory and political movement that pursues gender equipment. The hijab movement is a movement of women who want the government to end sexism and oppression for natural law ethicals. It holds that everyone has certain inherent rights that cannot be deprived, such as the right to life, liberty, and property. However, Iranian women also gained their rights through the revolution. About utilitarianism, it's a consequentialist theory which holds that the morality of an action is determined by its consequences. So this revolution will promote human rights and thus bring happiness to more people. The last one is Kantian ethics. Respecting people and human freedom is the foundation of Kantian ethics. Human beings have inherent dignity and worth, so the Iranian government must respect and protect women's rights.
Hi, next I'm gonna talk about that. This revolution is really a critical and passionate topic to our group. It is really a topic that demands everyone's attention. It represents a significant cultural and political shift in Iran's history. We witness the bravery of these women and their determination to fight for their rights. These brave women faced severe consequences for their actions, including imprisonment and harassment by the government. Despite this, they refused to be silenced and still continued to speak out against the oppressive laws that restricted their freedom and autonomy. It has sparked a large debate about the role of religion in society and the government's authority to impose religious laws. It made us think about questions like, should the government have the power to enforce religious laws on its citizens? And should individuals have the right to choose how they express their religious beliefs? These are complex issues that require nuanced and thoughtful discussion. Although the law is based on the Islamic teachings, it is good news for us to see many Iranians, especially younger generations, start to question the government's interpretation of Islam and its imposition of religious laws. We can see that the struggle of women's rights and freedom in a society that has been traditionally patriarchal. We think that the hijab revolution in Iran is not just about the hijab itself. It's about the large issues of women's rights and the freedom of expression. It represents the struggles of women in a patriarchal society where their voices are often suppressed and their rights are ignored. For now, the government has responded with increased arrests and crackdowns on the protesters. However, women are still protesting in their way by posting photos of themselves on social media or just walk into the public place without hijab, despite the risk of punishment and pressure. We don't know if this revolution will finally succeed or not, but the revolution will never disappear. Once people's consciousness are awakened, the fire of defending rights will not be extinguished. We believe that not only Iran, but also other countries and regions, if there are similar human rights issues, people will be more daring to stand up and resist. And here is the reference page. And that's all the contents of our presentation. Thank you.